Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the almighty ego and numerology, and why the last thing we want to do as humans is to kill or destroy the ego. Before we go deeper into that, though, if you would like to work with me and dive more deeply into the immense world that is your own personal numerology, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below, and I would love to work with you. Okay, so let's get into it. So we often hear people talking about the need to destroy the ego or to transcend the ego in some way. And now I can't speak for others or claim to understand what exactly they mean by this, but I believe what they're referring to or what they're saying by using such extreme language is really to find ways to heal the wounded or the overly inflated ego and move into a much healthier state of being where we're moving from a more balanced and healthy ego. Or at least that's precisely what I'm going to be talking about today. So let's take a look. Now, in numerology, we could say that the ego is depicted by the number 1, the vibration of the 1, and the soul by the vibration of the 9. It doesn't matter what your life path number is or whether or not you have the 1 or the 9 in prominent placements within your full numerology report. We all frequently move through cycles that push us to work with the vibrations of each of these energies, and actually the energies 1 through 9 and beyond. So we're always getting opportunities to work very closely with these energies and these vibrations and to move through the shadow side and move towards the higher octave of these energies. Sometimes when it's in our chart, like a life path number or a prominent placement, then it's more condensed, right? It's something the soul really wants to focus on in this lifetime and sort of master and then be a leader in that energy, in the sense that you're leading by example and doing something beautiful with that energy once you step into it. But we all work with all of the vibrations, all of the numbers at some point, and often frequently, right? Whether it's through the personal year, a month cycle, just various opportunities. So we each have that opportunity to step into, especially since we're talking about the ego and the 1 vibration, we each have that opportunity quite frequently to focus on this vibration. Now then, the vibration of the 1 represents self, the individual self, and the universal 1, or the universal self that we're all a part of. Today, we're going to focus on the individual self and the importance of that, the ego. The 1 represents our unique identity, our unique physical characteristics, our need for independence and autonomy, and our need to contribute in this lifetime with our own unique ingenuity, being a visionary in our own right. Energetically, yes, we are all 1 and connected, or at least I believe so. But physically, we are each very much unique. Our experiences, our perspectives, our imagination, our ideas and visions and perceptions, actions, though they can all have a ripple effect into the greater world and the universe, of course, that we're all a part of, they start by being solely ours, uniquely our own. So there isn't a single person on this planet that could possibly live through every single experience or have every single perspective. And so by each of us having our own and then doing something with it, the universe, or our greater selves, gets to experience itself through this very unique, individual human experience. Now, the 1, or the ego, is our identity and how we show up and contribute in life. To destroy the ego would be to destroy one's own personal, unique identity, which shapes how and what we contribute. If we destroy the ego, we, in a sense, destroy the sense of self and our own autonomy, that uniqueness the world needs in order to grow and to evolve. And instead, we then would conform and become just like everyone else. which is actually detrimental to a species that's meant to evolve and grow. So the one energy, or the ego, gives us the courage and the confidence, or puts us in situations where we can sort of step into it, to be the leader within our own lives, to take up ample space, to recognize our worthiness and assert ourselves in claiming what is rightfully ours, such as respect, dignity, autonomy, equality, equity, in whatever space we stand in and with whomever we stand with. The one, or the ego, isn't about being better than or having power or control over another. That's a wounded or inflated ego, or the shadow side of the one. But this is about showing up as equals and each feeling empowered to lead alongside of each other. There's no need for manipulation, control, name-calling, victim mentality, blame, divisiveness, and separation, or the need to be constantly validated with this energy when the one is in its highest octave, because it owns its space, it knows who it is, and it can move from a place of integrity where words match actions, because there's this healthy sense of self, right? With healthy standards in life. This is a healthy ego. When we move through one cycles, we're being pushed to step into the vibration or the frequency of the healthy one, because this is where we, as the individual, gets the most out of life and is able to contribute the most during our time here, during our lifetime. When we move from a healthy and balanced ego, or the higher octave of the one, we desire to contribute things into this world that can become powerful resources and solutions for not only self, but others as well. And so we then aim to uplift, empower, inspire, not only self, but others as well. The one, or the ego, becomes the force that motivates us into action. It pushes us to take risks and to extract the wisdom from the consequences, good or not so good, not so comfortable, of those risks. It lights the fire beneath us to no longer minimize who we are as the individual, but to express ourselves and to show up as authentically as we can, as ourselves, so that during our brief time here, not only do we experience life to the fullest, but life gets to experience us in a way that only we can offer the world. And though the ego is unique to the individual, when we move from the higher octave of the one, or ego, there can only be connectivity. Separation doesn't match this frequency. So things like fighting, control, hierarchy, the need for dominance, judgment, the need to sort of have, be put on a pedestal or put others on a pedestal, all of that is diminished because we don't need what someone else has in order to feel whole. We simply claim what is ours rather than taking by force what doesn't belong to us. So by moving at the higher frequency of the one, or ego, and shining our own unique light in a healthy way, we then merge with the light of others. And that, my friends, has the power to raise the consciousness of the planet. But in order to do that, it requires each person showing up as themselves from the space of a healthy ego and a healthy one vibration. So we can currently see in the world sort of this interesting shift. We hear a lot about the rise of the divine feminine. And of course, we're talking about energy here. This has nothing to do with gender. It's an energy that we all have, right? Every energy has a feminine and a masculine side to it. And so we can see this sort of rise of the divine feminine, right, to sort of meet the masculine energy of action. And I definitely think this is happening, right? I definitely see this shift happening, this rise of the divine feminine energy, a more feminine type of energy. But it is interesting because you can see it going to the extreme before it can move to the healthy side of the divine feminine, that energy. in order to match a healthy masculine energy. And we're certainly not in a healthy masculine energy in the world at this time. It's definitely that wounded masculine energy. And it's interesting because you can see this wounded feminine energy coming out to the extreme at this time. And it's almost like the world has to sort of move through both extremes to meet in the middle, right? The pendulum always swings, and the goal is to meet it in the middle. Because currently we can see so much of the wounded feminine energy of extreme victim mentality, not taking accountability, blame, being overly protective of ourselves, with endless talk about boundaries and, extreme avoidance, as well as extreme division and separation, which is not a healthy divine feminine energy. So ultimately, this is all moving from a place of the wounded ego. So the wounded ego comes up against the inflated ego of the more extreme wounded masculine that's already rampant in the world, and chaos continues to ensue. The good news is, often for great change to occur, there has to be that chaos and that storm and destruction so that something much better, more harmonious and balanced can be built. So that shift will come, but we have to move through the extreme sort of uncomfortableness before we can get there. The more that we realize that our own work to heal our own ego and step fully into it in a healthy and balanced way actually contributes towards a more balanced, harmonious world, the quicker this world will become much more evolved. So instead of trying to transcend the ego, find better ways to work with it, to use it. Humans have egos by design. We aren't meant to dismantle the design. We're meant to find ways to master it and put it to good use, to serve self and to serve others. And the energy of the one helps us to get there. It helps us to do that. We know we're in alignment with the one and the ego when we're authentically leading alongside of others and there is connectivity rather than separation. So let's talk about some keynotes of the one energy, the higher octaves, to sort of keep in mind when working with this energy as you move through these cycles and stepping more fully into your own healthy ego. So some of these would be creativity, personal creative expression from your own unique ideas and inspirations while being open to the creative ideas of others. Independence and interdependence, maintaining autonomy while working harmoniously with others, and asking for support when needed, not only recognizing your strengths, but recognizing your limitations and finding ways to work with those limitations, whether that means, getting the help that you need or, calling in the resources that you need or just finding ways to work with those limitations. A wounded ego would neglect to see its own limitations and would only focus on its strengths. And we're not only harming ourselves in that process, but we're harming others as well. So recognizing our limitations takes courage sometimes. And this one energy helps us to do that. And by recognizing our limitations, we can find ways to work with them and potentially overcome them. Also, a healthy sense of self or self-confidence without self-absorption. We are each unique and special. We are each special contributors in this world, but it isn't solely all about us. The other thing with this one energy would be risk-taking and innovation. This is such a strong piece for the one energy and ego as well. Taking a risk, not trying to control what you can't control, but having the courage to take the risk and be innovative where you feel called to be and overcoming any self-doubt around that. So the ability to follow your own inner compass, your North Star, take the risk and be willing to overcome any setbacks or challenges that those risks can create. The other thing with the one is it can be impulsive, but when it's in its higher vibration, there's a strategy, right? It's in it for the long haul. It wants to create and build something powerful, but that's also a resource and a solution for not only self, but others. And so impulsivity does not serve this energy. It's more about strategy. So taking a risk with a strategy and being innovative and not being afraid to share your ideas. Also, seeing any perceived failures as opportunities to do it differently and better next time, while also taking accountability and responsibility for the outcome of those risks and not putting unnecessary blame or shame on self or others. Get up and try again. Another big keynote of this one energy and the ego, or healthy ego, would be the courage to show up in each moment as authentically you, without apology, without shame, all while allowing others to do the same. There's no pedestals here. They aren't needed among equals. Also, we talked a little bit about this, but being the visionary and being innovative, these are such big energy keynotes for the one energy and ego. How can you share your unique gifts, your personality? How can your actions and your contributions bring better resources and solutions into this world? How can you empower, uplift, and inspire not only yourself, but others using your own authenticity and ingenuity? Those are questions that the one is going to sort of confront you with when you move through these cycles, pushing you to step into your own authenticity, to become that leader, to become the visionary, and to be innovative, but not solely self-serving. When we each shift our focus towards stepping into our own healthy sense of self, our own healthy ego, we contribute by default towards a world of harmony, balance, connectivity, and greater evolution. But it takes each person showing up and doing the work to make that kind of a difference. The more we celebrate who we are and our differences and uniqueness, the more we celebrate each other. Why on earth would we ever want to destroy the ego when it can truly be such a beautiful thing? Now, I'll eventually put out another video for the 9 and the soul. So the soul in numerology, and we'll look at the energies of the 9. We'll dive a little bit more deeply into that vibration and how it correlates with putting the soul in the driver's seat in this lifetime. And don't worry, the ego is right next door as the passenger. It's still very much in the car. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I'll be putting that out shortly. But for now, hopefully this helps to work through those one cycles as they present to you. And, let's work to step into healthy egos instead of trying to kill what makes us us. And again, if you would like it to take a look at your own personal numerology to see when you might be working with these cycles or where they fall within your own chart, please book some time with me. I'd love to work with you and take a look. And you can book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye for now.